Let's move forward to the cash flow statement. It's the same thing of the income statement. We don't want to see the snapshot as we saw in the balance sheet. Now we want to check the trend in the cash flow statement, okay? But first of all, we have to understand what is a cash flow statement. As you have seen, the cash flow, when someone tells cash is king, okay? Why cash is king? Because important, because money is the main things for a company. And we can check it into the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement is split in different voices. The main voices are this mentioned here below. The cash flow from operating activities, okay? Let's imagine let's talk the case of Apple. What is the core business for Apple? For example, let me check if someone knows, which is the core business of Apple Inc. for you. Let's answer always into the chat. What do you think is the core business of Apple? What Apple do? More or less, okay, you have not to be precise. But what do you think Apple do, basically? Can we see that Apple build smartphone, build computers, that kind of thing? Can we see this? Okay, we are agree on this. For example, for Apple, that's the operating activities, okay? The core business of a company. For example, if Apple build the computer, then sell the computer, okay? We have for Apple revenues, we have for Apple cost for build and sell the computer, and that's the core activity. So we will find it into the cash flow, okay? In and out, we will find them into the operating activities. And what do you think about the financing activities, okay? Let's imagine that you go to your bank and you ask for a mortgage, okay? When you ask for a mortgage, the banks give to you money, okay? So it's usually an inflow, okay, in money, but you have a debt, okay? When you go to the bank asking a mortgage for buying a house, let's imagine, okay? So if we see it into the point of view of the cash flow of financing activities, you will see a plus sign, okay? It's an adding cash flow because I'm receiving money from the banks. On the other part, I will have a debt. But that's the main things. We have to reason as cash flow, as money. So for example, I go to banks, I ask a mortgage, the money comes or goes out, okay? That's the question. In this case, for example, we see a particular things for Apple. Let's go to the cash flow statement. I want to think with you as investor, okay? For example, here we have the cash from financing, okay? And you see, let's look to the last years, okay? So let's see this voice, okay? All these voices are negative, but you can ask to me, but Francesco, why here the voice is negative? If you tell us that, if you told us that, for example, I go to bank and I receive money, so should be a plus sign, positive, not negative. So let's see if someone knows the answer. Why in this case for Apple, in the voice cash from financing activity, we have negative values? Why? Let's see if someone knows the answer. In your opinion, why is the negative and not positive here? It should be financing, so money that comes in, okay? Why is negative in this case? Someone knows the answer? Let's imagine. Let's see if someone knows. We have a paying. Zabron tells paying, but what do you mean exactly, Zabron? From for paying. What do you mean? The concept, I understand the concept, but because they take less and less money from banks, what I said at the beginning of the income statement, let's come back to what is an income statement. Remember, the income statement is a flow. So the cash flow statement is a flow too. These are all flows that comes and goes. So why is negative? In this case, the flows. Why is negative? Okay, let me give you the correct answer. If I ask to my bank a loan, okay, for buying a home, okay, the bank gives me money, okay, so should be a positive flow for me. I have more debt, but I have money that comes in. But think on the opposite side. If this voice from financing activity is negative, it means that during this period, as company, I am repaying my debt. I'm giving back the money for reducing the loan. Okay? Have you understand now why it's negative, this voice? Is all clear? Please give me a sign into the chat if it's all clear. That's an important thing, because if a company is able to pay back his debt, it's a good or it's a bad news as investors. Let's imagine that Apple has the money for repaying more quickly his debt. Is a good or is a bad thing for investor? What do you prefer? Yeah, it's a good thing, okay? Because it means that Apple has cash from repaying back the debt, okay? It's a health thing, okay? That's why in this case we see a negative number. It's very important to understand for an investor always point of view, okay? On the opposite side, we have the same things, but as investing activities, okay? So cash flow coming from investing activities means that we are paying something. For example, let's imagine that Apple needs to buy a new building, okay, for his employees, okay? In this case, Apple will have a new building, but thinking in terms of cash flow, the money go out, okay, because I'm paying someone for giving me the building. So I will have the building on the activity part, but on a cash flow part, I will have a cash flow that goes out from the company, okay? And that's why usually we see on the opposite side that financing activity. On the investing activity, we will have more or less often the negative sign, okay? Because usually it's money that, as you can see here, for example, is money that goes out of the company because I'm investing this money, okay? Always thinking as cash flow, okay? Money that comes in and goes out, okay? Always think in this kind of aspect. At the end, we will have the free cash flow. And in the next weeks, we will see how to calculate the free cash flow yield. Is another very important numbers to know as investors, okay? But we will see later. But before, today, we have to understand which is the free cash flow, which is if you put the formula, it's very simple, because at the end, the free cash flow is simply the cash flow from operating activities minus the capex, okay? What is capex? Capex is capital expenditure, okay? The building that I saw before, okay? Apple buy buildings, okay? The buildings is a capex. And you always see it into the cash flow statement, okay? So here you see the capital expenditures, okay? You see the cash flow from operation or from operating activities is the same. The cash flow from operation minus capex gives us the free cash flow that in this case, okay, we will see as ending cash, okay? That's the voice, because usually I see it into the Italian part, but it's the same, okay? So that's the main things that we want to understand, okay? Always understand this particularity, okay? I'm using Investing Pro. You can have the 35% discount off on Investing Pro. You will have here the discount. I hope that you enjoy the webinar, and we will see the next time you will be pro subscribers for the next time.